3:30, the Sea Chickens. Little quick video about Vikings Seahawks. Be sure to hit that like, subscribe. Let's kind of talk about it a little bit. It'll be a tough game today. Tough game. You'd call it a trap game, except the Seahawks aren't terrible. They're a good football team. Geno Smith will be playing, as we expected. He's a gamer. He's a player. He's a good player. May not be a top 20 quarterback, but he's a hell of a football player. He's just going to tough it out. Harrison Smith was on our injured list. A couple other injuries to be concerned about. C.J. Ham was downgraded. It's going to be a rainy, sloppy, cold, chilly late December in Seattle kind of weather. So it's going to be a very run-intensive game. If receivers, if you've got those sticky gloves, go ahead, J.J. Addison, go ahead and grab those. Why don't you get those on? I hope Darnold can hold on to a wet football. Not every QB can. I was actually watching the interview with Dan Patrick and KOC, and that's one of the things KOC actually mentioned is his inability to hold a wet football. And in New England, it might be important. Equally important in Seattle. So, hey, receivers, Darnold, if you guys got them sticky gloves or whatever you need, make it happen, baby. Make it happen. But I think it's going to be a very run-intensive game. This is going to be as John Madden would say, this is a slobber knocker. Defensive and offensive lines are going to be, they're going to be grimy. It's going to be a slobber knocker. Run-intensive kind of game, so I'd look for Cam Akers and Aaron Jones to have good games today. Good games today. Boy, we need to run between the tackles. That's something that I've been preaching now for a while, and I know it's tough when you have not the best tackles in the league, putting it mildly, in a center who can get picked up and trucked at any point. But we got to run between the tackles. There's not going to be a whole lot of bouncing outside today, not if we're on a wet, slick, slippery field. Offensive linemen, running backs aren't going to be cutting like they used to be. Well, wide receivers won't be either. Bring the deep cleats. Bring the deep cleats for sure. Rain and gusty. Just looking at the forecast here, I'd brought up the Fox 9 weather app. And game time is set at 3:30 today, Central Standard. Rain, 70%. Temperature 49 degrees. Southeast wind at about 10 miles an hour with gusts. The 70% basically holds on and off throughout the game. So it's going to be very much a running back game. Was checking on JR, the content dog there, who's in the room with me. But yeah, it's going to be a tough game today. Aaron Jones, Cam Akers, they're going to have a lot of carries, I think. A lot of carries. Hopefully C.J. Ham is able to get in there and play. We need Josh Oliver. Josh Oliver out there blocking. He's got to be blocked. It's going to be a 12 personnel kind of day. 2 tight ends, running back, and a fullback. A short, quick passing game. It's going to be old-fashioned football today. It's going to be old-fashioned football. 3:30 Central Time. Looking forward to it. I do think the Vikings are a better team. Again, this is... If the Seahawks were a terrible team, you'd call this a trap game. Because the Vikings are probably thinking Packers next week, Lions following. But you got to get through today. You are in Seattle. You are against the Seahawks. Conditions are going to be far less than ideal. You've got that Seattle crowd out there, the 12th man, and they're going to be into this game. they know the consequence of it. And Seattle is fighting for their playoff life too. They're fighting for their playoff life too. I am going to quickly bring up the standings. We're going to go to the Eastern Sports Network. Some of you guys call it ESPN. I just call it the Eastern Sports Network. Going down to the Seattle Sea Chickens. The Seattle Sea Chickens are 8-6, fighting for their playoff life too with the LA Rams. They're tied for their division lead. This is going to be interesting. This is not going to be an easy game. We're going to go to the conference standings. Where are they in regards to wild card? Ooh. They win their division, they're in. They win, they're in. They're just ahead of the Falcons at 7-7. The Seahawks at 8-6, tied with the Rams at 8-6. Obviously tied for their division, as I previously said. So they're going to be coming with their A game today in conditions that are not something that are good for our A game. This is a tough one. I want to say a Vikings win, but this is going to be a tough one. If the Vikings do win, it's going to be a score like 20-12, 20-14, something like that. I think field goal kicking will be a big part of this game. And doesn't Seattle have... who is their kicker? Seattle Seahawks. Jason Myers. Okay, I thought he was a former Viking. At one point I recall there being a former Viking there. Perhaps he's with the Raiders. My mistake. It happens. 21-14, 20-14, 17-10. I don't think it's going to be a shootout by any means. This is going to be a low-scoring, running, grinding affair. The Vikings need a win to keep up. The Seahawks need a win to keep up. Today's going to be a tougher game than a lot of people may anticipate. I hope the Vikings aren't looking past it. I'm going to give them a win, but it's not going to be a blowout. This is going to be down to the wire. I almost want to say we're going to have an overtime game today. This is going to be something else. 3:30. That's the kickoff. That's what I got. I do appreciate you. Thank you.